What's up, guys? Coach John here. I'm going to take you through some of the mobility and strength work that I like to incorporate in when I am not in the water. All right, here we go. Starting into mobility. So you can grab a Swiffer, a broomstick, any type of stick object to do some assisted range of motion with the shoulders. Keep the elbows locked out while rotating around your head or front to back, both of which will provide its own challenges depending on what your mobility is like. Utilizing this is beneficial because it gives you that assistance in getting into those tougher ranges of motions. And from there, I move to the ground. These are open books, so I stack my top knee across my body while opening my arms up behind me, making sure to keep my knee in contact with the ground the whole time. From there, you can progress to the windmill, which is the same exact setup. You just focus on dragging the arm around and opening up that upper back. Again, upper back mobility is super important to us as surfers, especially when it comes to paddling or pulling into high and tight barrels. Then we have the cobras. Cobras is very similar to that motion of reaching forward, pulling through while paddling. Some slight differences here, but again, this is a great movement to try to keep their shoulders healthy when we're out of the water. The scorpion. You might have ended up in this position unintentionally. Maybe you went over the falls, got folded in half, but I always like to keep this one in there, make sure that if I get into that situation, my body can at least bend. All right, now that we have covered shoulders and upper back, we are going to move to some hip mobility. Hips are super important to keep mobile, especially when you think about just even sitting on a board, let alone pulling into a backside wave, trying to open that knee up, lay back into the face. So here's some of the mobility that I go over on a regular basis. The hip turns. Hip turns are super important. Internal, external rotation of the hips, we need that, especially on the backside barrels. If you're getting high and tight, you got to open up that knee towards the wave, really pull into the face. That's a great one to have in there. If that is too tough for you, you have the quadruped hip rock. So keep the feet close together, push the hips back, trying to keep the back flat. This will also help to open up your hips. The couch stretch. So it's all in the name, you can do it on a couch. This helps with the hip flexor. When we're pumping down the line, you want to make sure you're not getting any strains or anything like that. Then we have my favorite stretch of all, the Spider-Man with the reach. So you start in a push-up position. You walk that foot up next to the hand, and then you open that arm up towards the leg, following it with your eyes. We're getting hips and upper back here. So this is a great one to incorporate in a daily routine. Make sure you're staying nice and mobile. To progress from there, you would just drop down into that instep with the elbow. This is really going to focus on opening up the hips. Again, backside barrel riding, when you really need to open the hips up and hug the face of the wave, just like right here. You can see that knee is opening up. I'm able to pull up. Don't quite make it. Pulled into the section a little late, but again, you can see the application. Okay, so activation. Activation is similar to just range of motion stuff, except we add some tension, usually from a band. It's pretty low impact and usually a safe option for most people, even if you're untrained. Supine band hip flexion. This is a great activation for the hip flexors. You lay on your back, put a band around your feet, and then the focus is to bring that knee up towards the chest, ending at a 90-degree angle, while pulling your toes up, keeping a lot of tension through the shin. Terminal knee extension. So when we're talking about knee health, we are always twisting and turning and bending our knees in weird positions. This helps with the meniscus and the ACL, so I like to keep this in there on a regular basis. All right, shoulder health. I know plenty about this. I've had surgery plus tears in both shoulders. So external rotation is a great way to strengthen some of those rotator cuff muscles. Make sure that we're keeping everything in place, especially when we're constantly paddling. Those muscles fatigue very quickly. The draw the sword is next. So as you can see, I'm bringing that band across my body, opening my thumb up. Again, this is working on strength through the rotation of the shoulder. So we have the reverse hyper. You can do this on the edge of a couch or a chair if you can figure out a good way to maneuver it. But this is great for the low back, especially when we're in that arch position, especially hours on end. Stability ball adduction squeezes. This is a great one for strengthening the internal rotators of the hip, just like when we need to drop that knee down on the back of the board. Core stability, no shocker there. We need core stability, especially the ability to fight rotational forces with our core. When you think about it, a wave is trying to push you forward. You want to go down the line, so you need to be able to fight against that wave's energy, hold your line, and make it through sections. Tail off press. This is a great anti-rotation movement. When you are trying to fight rotational forces, especially something like a wave that is always trying to push you where it wants, this is a great thing to add in. Helps you with fighting those rotational forces from that band that I have tied off on the rack here. You could always sub in side planks or regular planks, just like I'm doing here on the ball. This is a little bit more advanced, so again, start with the regular plank. Alright, here's the part of the video now we move into strength work. Alright, strength carries over to all aspects of life. Even when you are gassed from a cardiovascular standpoint, having a higher strength index is going to allow you to keep going and stay in the water longer. So here's some of the strength stuff that I think is super important and has personally helped me a lot in my progression with my surfing. Okay, so in my book, the thrust is a must. Again, training the glutes, hip extension, right? Pushing those hips to the top there. It's a lot like pumping down the face of a wave. Gaining speed requires compression and extension of the hips. The more strength that you have in that, the more speed you'll be able to generate down the line. Alright, so the clean in my book is the best bang for your buck. You are popping up in an explosive manner, trying to catch and transition into a squat pattern. You're firing every muscle in your body to complete this movement. So again, it looks similar to when we would pop up and try to stay down in our compressed position to get going down the face. The much simpler version, or modified, is doing this with the kettlebell. So again, focusing on that hip extension, catching into that squat pattern. Seems a lot like popping up, doesn't it? So now we're cycling back to knee health. One of the best things you can do to protect your knees, and especially the ACL, is develop your hamstrings. So here I'm doing a glute ham raise. This is very advanced, very difficult, and many people don't have access to machines like this. So in the event that that's your situation, you can get a pair of furniture sliders. Buy them off Amazon, a couple bucks. You can perform a sliding hamstring curl on the ground. So again, here I have my sliders. I'm going to put them under my heels, bridge my hips into the air, push the feet in and out, making sure to keep those hips off the ground and keep all that tension into the hamstrings. Stiff leg deadlifts, one of my favorites. Big stretch in the hamstrings with this type of movement. I overloaded with the barbell. Again, I've been doing these movements for a lot of years. Not necessarily something I would recommend for somebody that is new to this type of movement or even a workout regimen. Simpler variation, again, it's with kettlebell. So again, the main things here, soft bend in the knees. You're looking to push your hips back and shift your weight to your heels. Imagine trying to shut a car door with your hands full, and you're gonna have to push your butt back into it. That's the best way I can describe how this movement should be completed. All right, so that's some of the mobility and strength work, along with the activation that I add in before my strength work for you guys. If you thought this was helpful, or you wanna see more of it, drop a comment down below. Again, if you guys are enjoying the content, like and subscribe, keep watching. I'll see you guys on the next one.